Hello everyone, I'm Oriana and I was the lead manager and co-producer for this week's track, Changeling. So I want this track, for those out there who could relate, to feel a sense of acknowledgement when they listen to this track. The acknowledgement that it is hard to fit in and having to constantly navigate spaces where you're expected to change yourself is a hard experience to deal with. And I wanted to really show that feeling through this song. One of the song inspirations that Dr. NQ introduced me to was Hotel California and Crowd of People. And those were the two tracks that I used to navigate the mixing and overall experience of Changeling. The chorus in Changeling was the hardest thing that I had to work around. Really understanding the lows and highs and where they should sit on the track was one of the things I had to navigate as I'm listening to these different voices that Dr. NQ is doing. And sometimes it sounded really unbalanced. So really working with auto-tune feature and really understanding like what it should sound like at the end of the day was one of the things that I used throughout. So with this song, really the thing I'm proud of is the chorus. It now sounds a lot more balanced than what it did in the first session, and it does sound a lot more like a choir that's afraid, that's witnessing these changes, that's witnessing Dr. NQ navigate these different spaces. So that is one of the things that I'm actually really proud of, that sounds completely different than it did at first. One of the things I had to learn that I talked a little bit on the podcast that we have called Rhythm and Purpose about is really understanding that this mix is for the artists and their audience, not for me. And one of the biggest things that I had to learn was to take myself out of the equation as much as I at first put into it, because that was causing me to not really hear what I needed to hear as a producer. And instead I was listening to the track as either a fan or someone who is my own artist. I'm my own artist. Things sounds really good from an artist's perspective. I had to really put on my Dr. NQ and producer hat on when I was listening to Changeling to really make sure it comes across in the way that the artist intended. So looking back now, the biggest thing that I'm proud of was that Changeling now really sounds like a choir, that they really sound big and afraid, and that it really comes across that Dr. NQ is telling the story of this boy having to change constantly and navigate these different spaces. So I would consider that to be pretty successful. Alright, so you can find this track on qgharmony.com. And one of the things that I hope you guys really find really interesting is how the voices blend, and maybe see how many different voices you can find in the song. But either way, thank you though for listening to my reflection of this song, and I hope to see you next time.